Hello, I am Dr. Ravindra Rao. I am an additional professor with the National Drug Dependence Treatment Center, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, New Delhi. I am here with you today to discuss about cannabis use disorder. So, what will we do today? We will be discussing in general about what cannabis is, what are the various types of cannabis. We also will try to understand what are the various effects of cannabis use, both short term as well as long term. We also will discuss what do we mean by cannabis dependence and how does one diagnose cannabis dependence, and finally management of various cannabis use disorders. So, let us begin the topic. So, you would know that of the various psychoactive substances that humankind consume, they are divided into legal and illegal drugs. So, legal, for example, in our country would be alcohol in most parts of our country, and tobacco, which is approved by the government for use for recreational purposes. But other drugs are deemed as illegal, where the use, the production or the sale is bound to attract punishment or fine. So, of the various illegal drugs that are available, cannabis is the most widely used illegal drug. That is not only true of the country, but also entire world. So, every year the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, it brings out an annual report on the status of drug use in the world. The latest World Drug Report, which came out in June 2020, also shows that cannabis is the most widely used illegal drug in the country. Even in India, recently last year, we had a report released by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, which gave us the extent of substance use and the pattern of substance use in India at the national level. So, that also showed that after alcohol, cannabis was the most commonly used psychoactive substance in the country. Of course, the report did not talk about tobacco, so alcohol, and the second one was cannabis. And of the various cannabis products, so almost it was estimated that about 3% of the population between 10 to 75 years age group across all genders, they have used cannabis at least once in the last 12 months for recreational purposes. And it is estimated that about 0.26% of them are dependent on these cannabis products. Now, what we need to understand is that when we talk of cannabis, it is not one single product, there are various cannabis products. But irrespective of whatever cannabis products that we talk of, they all are derived from a plant. So, it is a plant based product and the plant's name is cannabis sativa. Now, this cannabis sativa is very commonly grown in India. You do not require farms to be producing this cannabis. It is grown widely, especially in the sub-Himalayan belt. You would find cannabis growing widely near your homes or in the fields. Now, the cannabis sativa plant, there are various psychoactive compounds in this plant which produces the psychoactive effect of cannabis. But the most important psychoactive compound is tetrahydrocannabinol, or what is called as THC. So, THC is the one which is a major psychoactive compound in cannabis plant. Now, depending upon from which part of the plant you produce the cannabis product, you will get that particular cannabis product. So, for example, bhang, which is commonly used in India, so that bhang is derived from cannabis leaves. So, here the THC content is very less, to the tune of about 0.5% to about 3% of tetrahydrocannabinol. So, bhang, as you know, that it has cultural and social sanction during occasions such as Holi or Shivratri. Bhang is commonly consumed, and this is consumed as drink or mixed with flour, and pakodas or other snacks are prepared from this product, and this is consumed. Similarly, we have the next cannabis product, which is ganja. Now, ganja is grown from the or produced from the flowering top of this cannabis sativa plant. Now, it has THC to the range of about 3 to 6, or some places it is also said that it has about up to 20% of potency of tetrahydrocannabinol. Now, ganja is commonly smoked, so it is either filled mixed with tobacco and filled in cigarettes, or using a chillum it is smoked through a joint or through chillum. The next cannabis product is charas or hashish. Now, the potency of charas or hashish is 10 to 20%. From where is charas produced? It is produced from the stem. So, the stem of the plant, when you rub it, you get a dry an exudate which is a resinous product. So, the dried cannabis resin is charas or hashish. Once again, it is either smoked through joint or in chillums. You also have hash oil, which is derived from hashish itself, but some organic solvents are mixed in this hashish, and then you get the hash oil. The potency of THC, the potency of hash oil is the greatest. So, THC content is somewhere about 15 to 50%, and this oil is commonly put on cigarettes and then it is smoked. So, bhang is orally consumed, whereas ganja, charas or hashish and hash oil, they are smoked. Now, let us try to understand what does cannabis do when it enters our body. Now, if you take cannabis orally, like in bhang preparation, the effect will start after about 30 minutes. So, you do not get an instantaneous effect. So, the effect starts about 15, 20 or 30 minutes and peaks in about 2 to 3 hours, and the effect can last up to 3 to 6 hours. On the other hand, the smoked cannabis, which is ganja or also called as marijuana in western countries, charas or hashish, now these products are smoked, and when you inhale the smoke, then what happens is you get an instant effect. Within minutes it produces effect, and it peaks within minutes itself. So, the acute effect of the smoked cannabis can last for up to a couple of hours. Now, what we need to remember is that the smoked cannabis, not only does it contain higher THC compound, but also it acts faster, and hence it is more potent than the oral form of cannabis. What we also need to remember here is that the distinction, the law in India makes a distinction between orally consumed cannabis and smoked cannabis. So, the orally consumed cannabis, which is prepared from cannabis leaves, which is bhang, is legal. It is not illegal to consume or to sell these orally consumed cannabis products, whereas the cannabis products which are smoked are illegal, and one is bound to be booked if one indulges in sale or use of these substances. So, as I was saying, that acute effects of smoked cannabis is much more faster and it is much more potent. Now, what also we need to remember is that the hangover that happens from acute intoxication is lasting for up to 48 hours. So, there will be impairment in thinking or driving abilities. So, though the acute effect comes down in some hours, but the impairment can last for up to 2 to 3 days. That is something which we need to remember. Now, what are the psychological effect of cannabis use? What is the acute psychological effect of cannabis use? Now, what is important to remember is that when a person consumes cannabis, acute intoxication is associated with both pleasurable as well as noxious experience, which means that the person will feel good, but also some people may feel bad, or they may have an unpleasant experience after consuming cannabis. So, what are the acute pleasurable effect? Now, the person will his mood will be uplifted, elevated, he will feel happy, he will start laughing, and this laugh may be inappropriate. So, in response to a joke he may start laughing, but he does not stop there. After a few seconds to minutes he will continue to laugh, or there may be inappropriate crying as well. The person will go into a dream like state. So, after you consume cannabis, you will feel that as if you are dreaming, though you are not sleeping. There is a sense of calmness and relaxation. Your pain, your fatigue will go off if you consume cannabis. Also, what happens is, in case of cannabis, you also have heightened sensitivity to stimuli, which means that anything that you see, the color for example of an object that you see, that will be more intensified, or a sound that you hear, that will be much more acute. You will be able to hear the smaller, the finer notes of that sound. So, that is what happens as pleasurable experience, and depending upon the type of cannabis product that you consume, the effect may last for a couple of hours to a day or so. Now, as we were mentioning that cannabis intake usually produces euphoria, but in some people it may cause significant distress as well. So, what are the unpleasant effects? Some people, when they take cannabis, some individuals when they consume cannabis, instead of feeling the high, feeling good about it, feeling a sense of relaxation, calmness, they have the opposite effect. So, they may start having anxiety and symptoms and panic attacks. So, there is a sudden onset of palpitations, restlessness, difficulty in breathing, trembling, sweating, feelings of choking. So, those kind of symptoms can happen, which can start suddenly and reach a peak within minutes, which is called as the panic attacks. Now, these kind of anxiety and panic attacks are more common in those people who are using cannabis for the first time, and also in those who have already an anxiety disorder. Now, usually these anxiety symptoms or panic attacks, they last for about 5 to 8 hours, and then they subside by themselves when the effect of cannabis comes down. In some people also, cannabis can produce dysphoria, where instead of feeling good, they can have irritable mood, they will feel sad, they will feel low. Once again, this also would be usually mild, brief, and within a day or two the person will recover. Now, in some very few individuals, cannabis can also precipitate or initiate suspiciousness and paranoia. So, the person will feel that somebody is behind him, somebody is trying to harm him, people who are unknown to him, they are talking about him, and the person will start feeling fearful about these people, about his surroundings. So, these kind of suspiciousness and paranoia also can be seen in some individuals. So, we had both, we have seen that cannabis can produce both good pleasant experience as well as unpleasant psychological experience in the short term. Now, what is also important to remember is that in short term, cannabis can also have psychomotor impairment. So, there can be a increased reaction time. So, if there is a stimulus, the person will react to that stimulus a bit late as compared to his usual self. Even the motor performance will not be the usual self. So, it will be impaired after a person consumes cannabis. So, that is why the driving ability after consuming cannabis is reduced. So, more and more research is coming out that cannabis is definitely associated with road traffic accidents. Also, as we discussed before, that a person may also have perceptual distortions, which means that the person may start having hallucinations. So, he may start seeing things which others do not see, and also he may start hearing things which others do not hear. So, these kind of hallucinations can also be seen with acute cannabis intake. The person will also feel that time is passing very slowly. So, he will feel that the time is very slow, or sometimes it may also be the opposite. A person may feel that time is passing very fast. Similarly, the person who is using cannabis in the short term, there also may be problems or impairment in the cognitions, in his thinking process. So, there will be impairment in attention. So, he will not be able to give attention to a particular stimuli, he will not be able to concentrate, and there also may be impairment in his learning and memory. So, these are the acute psychological effects of cannabis use. Now, what about acute physical effect of cannabis use? Now, if you are smoking cannabis, then it can lead to bronchial irritation and it can lead to bronchoconstriction. So, a person who is asthmatic, his asthma can be exacerbated if a person is using cannabis. Similarly, cannabis also produces dryness of mouth. So, a person's mouth will go dry, and also he will have increased appetite. He will feel like eating a lot, right? Also, cannabis has an effect on the cardiovascular system. The person's BP, blood pressure will be elevated. There will be increased heartbeat which is called as tachycardia. The person may also on occasions, instead of increased BP can have reduced BP or hypotension, and that can lead to fainting episode. Similarly, also what happens in acute cannabis intake is that the eyes will be red. So, there is conjunctival redness that is seen. So, this also is one of the hallmark of acute cannabis intoxication. So, these were the short term effects of cannabis use. We saw psychological effect, physical effect. So, these are the two prominent effects of acute cannabis intake. Now, what about long term effects of cannabis use? Now, long term also, if you are using cannabis regularly on a long term basis, then you can have psychological complications, physical complications, as well as family and social complications. So, what kind of psychological complications does one see with long term cannabis use? Cannabis can produce dependence on long term basis, it can impair memory and intelligence, and it also can precipitate or cause psychiatric disorders. Now, let us look at each of these long term psychological complications of cannabis use. So, the first one is cannabis dependence. So, what is cannabis dependence? So, cannabis dependence is it is basically an illness or it is a disorder where the person is not able to regulate his cannabis use, either how frequently he should consume, that he is not able to regulate, or when he is consuming, how much amount he should consuming. So, there is a loss of control of cannabis use, and this happens when a person uses cannabis repeatedly or continuously. So, cannabis is known to cause dependence in about 10% of cannabis users. So, people who have ever used cannabis, out of them 10% of them they go on to develop cannabis dependence syndrome. So, as I was saying that the earlier that in the national survey report, what was seen was that about 0.26% of people between 10 to 75 years of age group, they were seen to be dependent on cannabis. So, in terms of absolute numbers in India, it translates to about 25 lakh dependent individuals of cannabis in India. So, what are the features of cannabis dependence? So, cannabis dependence in cannabis dependence, there is a strong internal drive or craving to use cannabis. The person is not able to control his cannabis use. So, the person is not able to decide that whether I should be not smoking cannabis when there is no social occasion, or the social norms doesn't demands that he should not consume cannabis, but he is not able to control his cannabis use. Similarly, he starts giving increased attention or increased priority to cannabis use over other activities. So, important social activities, important recreational activities, important obligations towards his family or towards his work, that is given up in favor of cannabis use. So, he is not able to work properly as he used to work before, he is not able to take care of his family, he is not able to fulfill his social obligations. So, there is an increased priority given to cannabis use. Also, in dependence, one sees that the person continues to use cannabis despite getting harms because of cannabis use, despite experiencing negative consequences because of cannabis use. So, that is there. Also, physiologically in cannabis dependence, it is seen that the person has to increase his dose of cannabis in order to get the same kind of effect that he was getting before. So, previously even one joint or so would be enough to make him intoxicated. Now, he requires 3 to 4 joints to make him intoxicated. So, that is what is meant by tolerance. Also, you have withdrawal symptoms. So, there are some unpleasant physical and psychological symptoms that are seen when a person suddenly stops or reduces his cannabis use. So, those are the features of cannabis dependence syndrome, and at least 3 to 4 symptoms should be present within a 12-month period to say that the person is suffering from cannabis dependence syndrome. So, let us talk about cannabis withdrawal in greater detail, because one of the reasons that people often cite, individuals who are dependent on cannabis, they often cite to not stop cannabis use is that they have these withdrawal symptoms if they do not take cannabis, and hence they are not able to or not willing to stop cannabis use. So, what is seen in cannabis withdrawals? So, the cannabis withdrawals start by about 1 to 3 days after stopping cannabis. So, the symptoms start after about 1 day to 2 days of stopping cannabis use. These symptoms, they peak by about 7 days, within 7 days they peak, and there is a steady decline in severity over a period of 10 to 20 days. So, the onset is about 1 to 3 days after stopping cannabis. The peak that is seen, it is within 7 days of stopping cannabis use, and gradually it comes down by about 10 to 20 days after stopping cannabis use. Now, what is important to remember is that in cannabis withdrawal, unlike other substances like alcohol or opioids or your sleeping tablets, the symptoms that are seen in cannabis withdrawals are not specific. So, they are non-specific withdrawal symptoms. The psychological symptoms are more common than physical symptoms. So, you see that the person has more of psychological problems than physical problems, unlike other substances where physical symptoms are as prominent as psychological symptoms. So, what symptoms are seen in cannabis withdrawal? So, you have craving. So, a person has this irresistible desire to use cannabis. So, craving is very prominent as cannabis withdrawal. The person will also have anxiety. The person will feel restless. The person is not able to sit in one place. The person will have a bit of increased heartbeat. The person may also not be able to sleep at night if he is not consuming cannabis. Similarly, the person may have nausea, the person may have headache. So, these are all symptoms of cannabis withdrawals. Other symptoms are also seen, such as aggressive or anger is increased when a person is in cannabis withdrawals, or the person may have chills and he may be having a bad mood. So, these are acute cannabis withdrawal symptoms. Now, many of these symptoms, they resolve even if you do not intervene within few days itself, but some symptoms like craving, they last for a long period of time. They may last for about months to about a year or so, and that is why you will find relapse to be a common feature in cannabis dependence, because the person has this extreme urges or desire to use cannabis. So, that was about long term psychological effect, one of which was dependence. The second long term cannabis, second long term psychological effect of chronic or long term cannabis use is that long lasting or chronic cannabis use can have an effect on the attention, the memory function or cognitive abilities of a person. So, this is seen over a long period of cannabis use. Now, here also if the person stops using cannabis, he becomes abstinent from cannabis use, then these effects can disappear within a period of several months. These symptoms are also reversible. So, that is the effect on cognition and attention and concentration. What about long term effect on psychiatric illnesses? Now, a person who is taking cannabis on a long term, it is said that there is a increased risk of psychosis in a long term basis, and that happens especially in people who are already genetically vulnerable to have schizophrenia or psychosis. It is still unclear whether people who do not have genetic predisposition, which means that if they are already prone to get psychosis or schizophrenia, cannabis will unmask these symptoms. But if a person is not genetically predisposed or vulnerable to have this psychosis or schizophrenia, whether cannabis will produce psychiatric illness or psychotic disorders in such people or not, it is not clear as of yet. Cannabis is also known to cause anxiety disorders on a long term basis, and also in some people it may precipitate manic symptoms, where a person will start being over talkative, over cheerful, over spending, over grooming. increased energy, there is a decreased need for sleep. So, those kind of symptoms which are called as mimic symptoms are also seen with long term cannabis use. Also on a long term basis, if a person is using cannabis chronically, that may also be a risk factor for suicide. So, these are the long term psychological complications of cannabis use. So, you had dependence, you had increased risk for other psychiatric illnesses and also cognitive impairment. Now, what are the long term physical complications of cannabis use? Now, cannabis also is associated with various long term physical complications. This includes effect on the cardiovascular system. So, for example, hypertension or stroke can be precipitated by long term cannabis use. Similarly, it has a number of reproductive health manifestations. So, a male will have decreased sperm count, there will be a lower sex drive. In females, there may be irregular menstrual cycles, reduced fertility, spontaneous abortion, preterm labor. So, those kind of reproductive health problems are also seen in long term cannabis use. Cannabis use by a pregnant mother can also cause problem in the growing fetus in her womb, and such a baby which is born can have low birth weight, poor growth and poor development. So, those are the physical complications that one sees with long term cannabis use. Similarly, long term cannabis use is also associated with various other social complications. So, adolescent who is using cannabis, his school grades may start dropping, and because of which he may lose interest in his school activities and he may drop out of his school. Also, if a person is doing his work, there may be impairment in the performance of his job, and because of which he may be chucked out from his job and he may become unemployed. Similarly, there will be relationship problems. So, there will be fights with his family, be it his wife, be it his mother, father, children. So, those kind of family problems also can happen, and frustrated with cannabis use, the individual may be thrown out of his home, and to sustain his cannabis use, a person may also indulge in criminal activities, especially if he is unemployed and if he is homeless. So, those are the complications on social front of long term cannabis use. Now, cannabis also is known to be a gateway drug. What is gateway hypothesis? It means that a person, when he has starting to use drugs, he always starts with a legal or a socially acceptable drug. So, he may begin with tobacco like cigarette or BD or chewable tobacco, then may progress to alcohol or cannabis use, and from there he switches on to more dangerous, to more potent and to more illegal drugs. So, that is what is seen in the progression of drug use, or what is called as the drug use career in an individual, and that is why it is hypothesized that a person who is using cannabis, now he becomes more vulnerable to use of other illicit drugs such as heroin, cocaine, amphetamines, etc. And that is why cannabis is implicated as a gateway drug for other harder illicit drugs. So, those are the short term and long term effect of cannabis use. Now, let us discuss how to manage a case of cannabis use disorder. So, to manage, what we need to know is that initially, before we start treating, we need to diagnose. And how does one diagnose? In diagnosis of cannabis use disorder, like other substance use disorder, you do not have any investigations like MRI or CT scan to say that yes, this person is dependent or suffering from cannabis use disorder. So, how do we diagnose? It is through careful history taking, and in history of cannabis use disorder, one needs to focus on the pattern of cannabis use. So, what kind of cannabis he is using, how long has he been using cannabis, when did he start using it on a daily basis, what prompted him to start using on a daily basis, how much does he take on a given day, how does he take cannabis in orally or in smoking form, what is the experience that the person has when he is using cannabis, what are the subjective experiences, and if the person is using daily, does he have features of withdrawals, craving or not. So, those things have to be explored in the history of the individual, apart from other aspects like social demographic profile and past history, medical history, those things also have to be taken. Also in cannabis use disorder, one needs to focus on any other substance use disorder that the person has. For example, he may be using alcohol or sleeping pills along with his cannabis. Similarly, the the history should also focus on psychiatric problems. So, as we discussed in short term as well as long term effects of cannabis, cannabis may precipitate psychosis or it may exacerbate depression or anxiety. So, that is why in a person who is dependent on cannabis, we should be positively asking for any psychiatric problems or not. Similarly, we need to ask about what problems cannabis has caused in the person's life on his physical front, on his psychological front, social, family front, work front and legal front. So, those are the things that one needs to explore in the history. Similarly, we also need to ask about family history of cannabis use. Is somebody else using cannabis in the individual's family, and in which case we also need to offer treatment to that other family member. Then after history, we focus on the physical examination, where we focus on the evidence of cannabis use in the recent. So, how do we get to know when the person has used cannabis in the recent or not? Especially in the last 48 to 72 hours, we look at his eyes, as we said that one of the effect of cannabis use is that the person will have red eye. The person may also have tachycardia, increased heartbeat, increased blood pressure. There may be signs of chronic pulmonary disease, chronic asthma, chronic emphysema, chronic bronchitis. So, these also can be seen when one examines his respiratory system. Then we also look in the examination, we also focus on his orientation, whether he is oriented to time, place of person. We assess his mood, we assess his for presence of anxiety symptoms, panic attacks, paranoid ideation and other features of psychosis. We also test his memory, test his concentration. So, those things are also examined in the diagnosis, in making a diagnosis of cannabis use disorder. Now, in making a diagnosis of cannabis use disorder, we have different labels. So, we can have cannabis intoxication, which we saw what were the signs and symptoms of cannabis intoxication as short term acute features of cannabis use. So, how do we manage a case of cannabis intoxication? So, cannabis intoxication, what you need to do is if you get a person who is intoxicated with cannabis, just reassure him and provide him supportive care. That should be good enough. He should be made to rest in a dimly lit room. There should be as less stimulation in terms of light or noise as possible. If the person also has anxiety symptoms because he has used cannabis recently, then you may want to give him some short acting benzodiazepines, which are basically sedatives. For example, a drug called as lorazepam can be used for relieving his anxiety symptoms. If a person has paranoid ideas or if he feels that others are out to harm him, then you can give antipsychotics such as olanzapine or risperidone. So, those can be given, or even if a person is disruptive or there are anger outbursts, one can prescribe olanzapine or risperidone, which are antipsychotics. Of course, this has to be given by the physician, by the doctor. The treatment of cannabis intoxication usually is for a period of 1 to 2 days, but once the intoxication is gone, you also need to inquire with the patient if the patient is using cannabis on a long term basis, in which case you may need to continue his treatment for a long period of time to make him abstinent from cannabis use. Now, a person may also present to you as a treatment provider, as a service provider with cannabis withdrawal, that he has stopped cannabis use or he is not able to get cannabis and then he is suffering from withdrawals. So, once again through history and examination, we look at the presence of cannabis withdrawal, we will see whether the person is dependent on cannabis or not. So, we make a clinical diagnosis. We also in this case what we need to remember is the symptoms, as we discussed before, that they are mild, they are transient, and without doing anything in terms of medication or counseling, the symptoms are self limiting. They may disappear in a period of about 10 days to 2 weeks or so. So, we need to reassure to the patient that the symptoms will go off and we need to provide supportive care. There are no medications that are approved for the treatment of cannabis withdrawal, but symptomatically one may provide benzodiazepines such as lorazepam as symptomatic treatment for cannabis withdrawals. Now, what about management of cannabis dependence? Now, once again, if you are suspecting cannabis dependence in a person, then you need to take a careful history, not only from the patient but also from his relatives, be his mother, be his wife, or be his colleague, be his friend. So, we collect information from all people, and then through history and examination we make a diagnosis of cannabis dependence. Now, in terms of the setting of treatment, it can be done on outpatient basis, or you may need to admit the patient. Most patients can be treated on outpatient basis itself. For some patients who are not able to stop their cannabis use if they are treated on outpatient basis, or people who have psychotic symptoms, or people who are aggressive, or people who are suicidal, in such patients you may need to admit the patient and then treat the person's cannabis dependence. Now, what is important to remember is that for cannabis dependence, unlike other substances like alcohol or opioid dependence, where you have medications which are approved to treat that opioid dependence or alcohol dependence, in cannabis dependence you do not have any medications approved to treat cannabis dependence. So, how do we treat? We treat with psychological therapies and we treat with behavioral therapies. So, some of the common psychological therapies for example involve motivation enhancement therapy. So, motivation enhancement treatment or motivation enhancement therapy, where the person is motivated, his motivation is built up to continue to stop using cannabis. Now, this can be delivered over one session, or there can be series of sessions that can be planned to keep his motivation enhanced, to stay away from cannabis, to stop cannabis. Similarly, various cognitive behavioral approaches can be used to treat cannabis dependence on a long term basis. So, you can counsel the patient, you can have some specialized form of therapy to ensure that he does not go back to cannabis use. So, for example, relapse prevention therapies, which includes both cognitive and behavioral approaches to ensure that he does not go back to cannabis use. So, these are relapse prevention therapies. Similarly, we have contingency management. So, where we give them some tangible rewards like vouchers or prizes, so that he remains abstinent from his cannabis use. So, you can use any of these approaches, psychological approaches, to treat cannabis dependence. So, what about cannabis induced disorder? So, cannabis induced psychotic or anxiety disorder. Usually what we need to remember is that in most cases these symptoms, symptoms, even if they are acute and they are very severe symptoms, but they will stop after the period of acute intoxication. They will come down and a person will feel as usual, as he was before using the cannabis. So, what we need to do is we need to monitor the person closely, we need to reassure the patient, and we may give medications on the basis of what kind of symptoms the person has. So, for anxiety we may give benzodiazepine, for psychosis we may give antipsychotics. So, those kind of medications can be given, but if they are the symptoms are persisting for more than 24 to 48 hours, it means that there may be another psychiatric disorder, and in such cases it is better if the person is referred to a higher center, to a psychiatrist for managing these cannabis induced psychiatric problems. So, that is what we do if a person has cannabis induced psychiatric disorder. Usually if it is cannabis induced psychiatric disorder, then usually the symptoms they resolve within a period of 4 to 6 weeks. If the symptoms persist beyond 4 to 6 weeks, then it may be that the person has independent psychiatric disorder and you may need to treat that person for a long period of time. So, that is how you manage cannabis induced psychiatric illness. So, to summarize, what did we learn from this today's topic? We learned that cannabis is the most commonly used illicit drugs globally as well as in India. In India, bhang is more commonly used than the other cannabis products like ganja or charas. But what is also important to remember is that bhang is legal, whereas ganja and charas they are illegal. Usually cannabis is tolerated by most individuals, but on acute basis some people may have adverse psychological consequences, and the long term cannabis use is associated with a number of psychological complications as well as physical complication. Cannabis has or produces dependence syndrome, and the withdrawals with cannabis are non-specific, but they are definitely there, craving being a very prominent feature of cannabis withdrawal which is seen in cannabis dependence, and a person may relapse back to cannabis use if he is having craving. The treatment for cannabis dependence is primarily psychosocial. You do not have medications which can be given on long term basis for management of cannabis dependence syndrome. Thank you.